Hi, today I would like to talk to you about the two biggest myths that I always hear about real estate purchase down in Mexico. The two biggest myths that I always hear is that you cannot buy property in Mexico. You can you just have to lease it 99 years. That's not true. Neither of those. You can buy property down in Mexico and you don't have to lease it for 99 years. There's no 99-year lease existing in Mexico or under any Mexican law. So let me tell you about all the roadmap that will be to buy a property down in Mexico and how it could be differ from your home country. We have an 8-step process that we always use in every single real estate transaction that goes from someone buying a beach house in Cabo, for instance, to a development more complex industrial facility, commercial, or any type of project, real estate project down in Mexico. We need to go through this same process and make sure that you're protected and you're buying what you really think you're buying. Our first step is to have the discovery meeting. The discovery meeting is to get to know our client. What does our client want to do? Does he wants to just buy a house for personal use? Does he wants to buy a house to make it a passive investment down in Mexico? Does he want to rent it out? Does he wants to do an Airbnb project? Is this something that we're gonna buy property, develop it, and do a commercial project or industrial project? That all we need to take into consideration and see what will be the next legal strategy. The second step is to locate the property. Once our client knows exactly what he wants to buy and if the price is right, that's where we then come in. We need to start now with step number 3, which is setting up the legal strategy and seeing what type of entity we need to set up in order to buy the property. Mexico, as I mentioned, there's no 99-year lease. You can buy it, but if you're looking into buy property down the coast of Mexico, all the borders, that's where it's restricted. It may be restricted about 30 miles from the coast inland or 60 miles from the borders and south or north. That's where it gets tricky. But if we're looking into those specific areas of Mexico, we need to set up a proper investment vehicle, which could be two main things. One will be set up a fideicomiso or a trust, which works very similar to like a US trust, or we will set up a Mexican entity that either investment vehicle will hold the title of that property. That will depend on what we want to do to the property, whether we go with the fideicomiso or the trust or set up a Mexican entity. But once we figure that out, we need to understand if it's going to be a cash purchase, is it going to be financed by somebody else, or is there any other type of cross-border transaction or tax implications on that property. It's very important to understand about also the tax strategy that we're going to go through. Another thing that we need to consider is to talk about the financing. Is this going to be a cash purchase, or is this going to be financed by someone else? You have to understand that a cross-border purchase is going to be very tricky in getting financed. One of the issues that all of our clients have, it's whether who to talk to get some financing. Traditional financing in their home country will usually not deal with a real estate project down in Mexico, and traditional banking down in Mexico will need to ask you many questions about your business, about your financial status, and to see if you're applicable to any specific loans. So what do we do here? There's two options that we can work with in this type of situation. Whether always think that there always could be a private financing, the seller's financing. Seller, it is also commonly in Mexico, the seller will give you a private financing or keeping a guarantee or a lien on the property until you finish those. If the seller is not open to do that, if the seller is looking to get the money at the day of the closing, that's where we need to get options on traditional banking or other lenders that will help you finance that project. Always bear in mind that in very rare occasions or mostly none, a home country bank or financial institution will lend you money to buy a property in a different country. So talk to us. We also have a lot of connections. We have a lot of people that help financing our clients. So think about that always before making a decision on buying your property down in Mexico. The next step number 4, that will be to have sign a letter of intent or make a promise. It's very important to be very careful on how we draft that. Once you locate the property and you want to make an offer, please get local counsel. Whether now that's where we come in, and whether we draft that letter of intent or that offer, we need to take a lot of attention if it's going to be a binding, non-binding, or what the conditions of that offer or that letter of intent will have that. In Mexico, we also have another contract, what we call it promise agreement, or contrato de promesa, which is a little bit more formal than a LOI. In this case, we signed it, and with the parties agree to eventually sign or promise to sign a purchase agreement in the future if certain conditions are met. So after that, after we made an offer, we need to go and make our due diligence. That goes from a title search, that goes from environmental due diligence, land survey, and to see if there's any liens or easements with the property. We need to make sure that that property doesn't have any type of issues that will become eventually an issue of the new owner. This is one of the most important part of the process. We need to make sure that you're protected, that you're buying actually what you think you're buying, or what the seller's telling you that he's going to sell to you, and also make sure that the price is fair and not affected by any other legal issues. After that, after we have a successful due diligence, we need to sign the closing documents. Those closing documents will be signed before the notary public, and it always be done to that. And this is a very important part of the process. Mexico's law has a lot of power, or a lot of importance on their formalities. So signing this before a notary public in Mexico, it will be a very important part. I've seen many clients that they sign a private agreement and they think that that's enough, which is never enough. We need to comply with all the formalities. After signing the purchase agreement before a notary public, we need to go and do the post-closing agreement, which is our last step. And here we need to register that purchase before the public registry of property and commerce. We also can have, we need to pay the taxes. We need to pay the filing fees for the registration, the notary fees, and also maybe title insurance. Title insurance is not that popular down in Mexico, but it is available, and it's always something to consider. That's our last step. Other thing that I would like to also tell you about is escrow. Escrow is not as popular as well as in any other countries, but there are many companies that do international or cross-border escrow services. Always bear in mind that an escrow process in this type of scenarios is very important to secure that your money, that whatever you pay, is protected until we close all these transactions. So if you're thinking to buy property or invest in real estate in Mexico, give me a call. We'll be happy to talk to you and guide you all through this. We do this all the time and happy to talk.